Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Vinikurov. I've grown up on the autism spectrum, was diagnosed at the age of 2, and now I own my own blog series called The World of Autism. And I am so excited to continue on my guest interview series. This is actually, as of now, this has been the guest I have on today. It is my 30th guest I've had within over a year span. So I am very happy about that. And I am so thankful for everybody that's come on and stuff, because to share their own perspectives and everything, because that's what my blog is all about. Not just about sharing my own experiences growing up on the spectrum, but also for people to come on to share their experiences. So I'm really excited to have my guest on here today. Her name is Sara. How are you doing, Sara?
Hi, Michelle. Thank you so much, and congratulations on your interviews and your show. I'm really honored and proud to be a part of it. So thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And let's just kick this off a little bit for people to get to know you a little bit. So can you share a little about yourself?
Yeah. Absolutely. So I am a mother of 3 and a wife. I'm 17 years, and all of the members of my family are on the spectrum. I have a husband that has Asperger's, 2 daughters as well, and a son with autism. And so I have a really unique perspective to share with the world of how to view through the eyes of a mother. I have the perspective from my husband and his childhood, of my son, and learning about autism to begin with him, and then later on to see, wow, my daughters fit in this too. This is incredible. And so we really celebrate autism in our house so much. I mean, and I just celebrate it with the world. So with that, I am also an author. I have written 7 children's books about special needs, and I cover a lot of subjects: autism, dyslexia, Down syndrome, anxiety, physical differences, just, pardon me, all about inclusion, because that's just really the message I wanted to share with my community beyond my family. And so, yeah, and then it turned into, like you said, multitude of interviews and podcasts. And then finally someone said, Sara, why aren't you doing your own show? And I said, my own show? What? So yeah, then the SJ Childs show, which is my author name, SJ Childs. And that's how that kind of began. So yeah, it's been an interesting decade-long journey that I've been on.
Wow, well, it really shows how much there's growth from your journey and for your whole family too.
Yeah.
Now that you and I really love where you said about with also about with how the show came to be was because through your family and everything. It just that's amazing. That is amazing.
And it's the best way to share the stories, right? It's the best way to share your story, to have other people on like yourself. Like I said, I'd love to have you on, and really just showcase to the world the beauty of the way people, humans with autism think. And it's just such an incredible journey, that we've been on. So
Absolutely. And a little bit more about with your show, you who do you have on your show?
So we're on we'll be episode 59 and 60 this week. Yeah, it's been amazing. I just started it in March actually of this year. And so I've probably been doing too much, but that's like I do, a little bit over the top for everything.
I'm the same. I've been doing a lot myself. This year, it's been so
It's
much change.
wonderful, it's
Yeah.
so wonderful. My show's motto is bringing value to families through education and resources, which includes, I love autism, but at the same time, I really wanted to make sure that I was open enough. My show was open enough to be able to cover a whole multitude of things. We cover all types of mental health awareness, all the way from, anxiety to suicide and grief counseling. We cover things like, gender. We cover things that are maybe hot topics, or even, and not like anything political or anything like that, but, topics that are just like kind of overlooked in society or not wanted to be looked at, kind of a thing. And I really want to look at those things: fetal alcohol syndrome disorder. A lot of, obviously, I have so many autism episodes in which it's just autism adults who have their PhDs, have their businesses they run, all the way down to just artists that make their own music and do their own graphic art. Just wanted to celebrate every single person I could find that was willing to come on and share. As well as professional basketball players. Anthony Ianni, who is the first autistic basketball player, was in former Michigan State, I think Spartan is, and he just released a book called Centered, and it's about his journey through autism and professional basketball. And so, yeah, just some really amazing people, stories. I just recently had on Mindy Shire, who is the founder of the Runway of Dreams. And she created adaptive clothing for all abilities. So I think some really great, great guests, great information for people, and just a lot of fun.
I also love the fact that it's also very inclusive, like in terms of like people, topics, and everything. And even to talk about with your also as well with the children's books that you written. I love the idea that it's about with inclusion. Can you tell a little bit more about with the children's books that you've written?
Oh, I'd love to. Absolutely. Here, I have some right here too. I'll pick them up so we can take a little closer look at them. So it's been such just a journey, a wonderful, amazing journey. And it really all began because I have a physical difference called outer ear microtia, which means I have really little tiny ears. You can see my little ears. And my children were also born with little ears. And so when they were little, it's like, oh, get their hearing check. Can they hear okay? Yes, they can hear fine. It's just like, an outer ear thing. But it also throughout my life, it was hard because I was bullied and I was called out for being different and kind of ashamed, and it hurts your self-esteem and your self-worth and all types of things when you're a child. And I didn't want to see my daughter, who is much more social than my son, go through that experience. And I wanted to minimize the damage done, if you will, and the trauma, that is caused through those types of things. And so I wrote this special book called Anna the Kitten, a book about physical differences. And it's about a family of kittens that have little ears. And, the little girl asks the mom, like, why are we different? And she says, well, if you take a look around at all the cats, nobody's the same. There's no two cats that are the same. And so it's, you're unique just the way you are. And that's what makes you part of the group. We can't be a group without different pieces that belong. And this is where you belong. And so this was just an amazing way to start, kind of writing and getting used to being an author. And then it just kind of started going, and so I wrote the book, DJ the Bear, a book about a bear with autism, and which our son's name is DJ. So these are about both of our children. So not only are they personal stories to my children that they'll have forever to hopefully give to their children and whatnot, but also just have out there just kind of forever to understand. And it just talks about how, autism is a different way of thinking. Yes, DJ looked just like all the other bears, but he was different. And this is why. And it kind of goes through sometimes when he was, he would spill his food or knock things over and then get really upset about it more than the peers around him. And, just kind of types of things that he would personally do when he was little. And just his journey through self-discovery, and kind of, he was nonverbal until he was 3.5 or 4. And I mean, our daughter is 2 years younger and she was talking up a storm before he ever said anything, and so it's those moments that you capture with a child who is nonverbal, those glimpses, those grabs of those touch of the hands and those types of things, the hugs, like that is the true expression of love and patience that autism can bring to you as a person. These newfound, like, how could I be even more in love with someone than I already was, having them as my child? So, but yeah, it just really led to so many other things. So then we wrote Doug the Dyslexic Duck. So my husband has dyslexia, and now we know that our 9-year-old daughter does as well. And we found out after this book, in fact, so kind of funny, but it's just about a little duck that doesn't know how to read and, does, but struggles with dyslexia, and it really just helps kids identify that maybe there is a problem and maybe this could be what you could ask for help, because that's where it really starts, is that identifying that you are struggling, not being kind of blown off by the teacher because, oh, you just don't want to pay attention, or, no, like, this is real. This is like, needs to be looked at and so much closer. So yeah, that's it. So, but it really does help, like, other kids as well to understand what their peers might be going through and give those peers support in the right kind of way. And something my husband and I always say, it's our kind of our little quote, is a little bit of knowledge turns fear into understanding. And children face things with fear right off the bat, and it's not like a fear, like a scared, but it's just an unknowing, an unknowingness, and filling those spaces in for them makes a world of difference.
Absolutely.
Then we have Jack the dog, and it's a book about Down syndrome. And this book is beautiful and wonderful, and it's written about like a family friend, and it really shows, like, well, what is a chromosome? Why is it, what makes him different? Like, what is, how can we support him differently? And so it really expresses that through my experience with my friend Jackman, he was just loving to everyone all the time, even though he would be going through a hard time, or, kids at school would be bullying him, he just always faces things with love. And such a huge lesson for us to learn from him, like overcoming things with love. Like, that's the way to do it.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love that so much, because it's just so true. Like, even just like with being like positive and stuff, patience and positivity and stuff, that's like the key to help so many people, like, to just like overcome any obstacles that are going on in life. Absolutely. And I apply that so much to students who I work with, because, like, coming from my own experiences and everything.
Exactly. Definitely.
So, and what I also love about with your children's books, like, you touch upon like different messages where it's like about with inclusion, and also about with like just being unique, and about with being like your uniqueness, you could still be part of a group, because if everybody was the same, it'd be so bland.
Beige, right? Everything would be
Beige and
beige.
bland.
Yeah.
Beige and bland. But
Right,
like,
for sure.
so it just, like we need a little bit of just expression and everything. So I
Absolutely.
really love that. I loved each of your books, like just provide like that kind of message, no matter
Yeah.
what people are living with. And the fact that you use names of people people that you in your life, like it just, makes it more real
Yeah.
and like raw in such a way. So
Thank you.
I
I love
really
it.
I appreciate that so much. I really do.
Definitely.
I really do. I want to wrap this up by as a last question for you about what advice do you have for families of people with autism and other disabilities?
Yeah.
Because I know with your experiences and everything, like what
Yeah.
advice do you have?
My advice, and it's of course changed over the years, but my advice today is definitely to treat everyone as a human being, because autism may be a different way of thinking, but it's just as human as anyone else, and everyone is just as human as everyone else. And the more that we respect and give grace to people in that regard, the less differences we'll have to pick apart, and the more we'll see each other for who we really are, in the wholeness that, in your child, like I don't truly, we don't do punishments per se, and we don't do that, and we do of course consequences. People have consequences, but we don't believe in like punishments and timeouts and taking away things and things like that. We talk about things, we communicate, we work things out with conflict resolution in our communication, because we want our kids to go out there and be able to work things out and not walk away or drive away mad or any of those things. We want them to have a good foothold out there in the world when that happens. So
Yeah, you know what? That is really great advice because like I know my family's the same way. My parents, they never believed in punishments at all because they rather like talk things out and talk through things to be able to solve like conflicts and stuff.
Yeah.
And like what it's a matter of learning from the experience rather than learning what not to do and learn what you should be doing instead.
Exactly.
So that's,
I love that.
to be able to like to be able to get through any challenges or whatever's conflicts is being faced. So I hope for people that this will help you out. Thank you, Sarah, so much for that and for coming on as a guest. It's such an honor to have you on here.
It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. And for people, you can follow me online as Exceptional Shell. That is my professional page on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Pinterest. I'm on every social media. You can follow me on YouTube, where all my guest interviews are, and follow my blog website, The World of Autism. So thank you guys all so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle.